Hello and welcome to Zestology, the podcast all about energy, vitality and motivation. And yes, that is a water feature you can hear in the background. More on the water feature in just a second. This podcast is on my favourite energy hacks of 2018. It's a podcast I really enjoy putting together actually, because sometimes people say, in your journey, in your quest for more energy, what are the things that you've discovered that give you more energy? And I did a presentation on just that fairly recently at a meetup in London, the Biohacking London Social Circle at the Shard. Did this presentation on 7 things that I picked out that might give you more energy in 2018. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to have to put a disclaimer in here. None of the following is to be construed as medical advice. And if you're going to make any changes to your diet or supplements or lifestyle, please consult your doctor before you make any changes. There you go. That's the disclaimer out the way. Because I talk about supplements that have made a difference for me, lifestyle practices, gadgets, diets, and I'm not necessarily saying that they would work for you. I'm just saying that it's definitely worth further discussion and investigation, because this podcast is all about energy, and I'm very lucky to kind of investigate some of the fairly radical and cutting edge ways that you can change your lifestyle and diet and so on to have more energy. The things that are coming up in this podcast are things you might want to try in 2018 that have really worked for me. So what about the water feature? Well, that is because I am not in London at the moment. I am in Southeast Asia, in northern Thailand, in a small sleepy hill town called Pai, in a guest house called Paradise Guest House, which I would highly recommend if you ever come here, because the owner Pin is absolutely lovely and took us on an insane 25-kilometre hike yesterday through mountain and jungle undergrowth. That's a little bit worrying at times, because for about 4 hours we weren't actually on a path. We were just walking through foliage. Seriously, at times he had to get his machete out and cut us a path. But anyway, we lived to tell the tale. It was an amazing hike. Little bit stiff this morning, but not too bad. And one of the things that I have definitely decided on in this quest for more energy over the last 3 years is more downtime. Trying to be a little bit less ambitious. I'm very ambitious by nature, but trying to be a little bit less ambitious and trying to focus a little bit more on just chilling out and relaxing. And this little trip to Pai certainly fits the bill. And next week, the whole podcast is going to be recorded from here, because we are going, as you might have heard me mention before, to this mysterious retreat, which is like a meditation retreat. It's run by monks near the Burmese border, and you have to wear all white, which does make it sound a little bit like a cult. It's not a cult, I don't think, but we'll see. So next week I'm going to record a little bit before we go and explain about the retreat and what's going on, and then possibly while I'm there, but possibly not, because obviously I want to be respectful to the retreat and the people that run it. And then afterwards a debrief and say whether it was worthwhile, whether I learned anything. Meditation has been such a big part of the puzzle for me. Just relaxing, calming down the sympathetic nervous system and de-stimulating a little bit. And so I'm really looking forward to this retreat, and next week's podcast will be recorded from there. For now though, what are my favourite energy hacks of 2018? Thank you, Tim, so much for setting this up. I just think it's a brilliant idea and really great to be here as well. I have a podcast called Zestology, which is all about living with more energy. And it's because I got ill a few years ago and I didn't have any energy for a while. So it's kind of devoted to finding the tricks and hacks that help me live with more energy. And this is really nice because when I do Zestology meetups, I feel it's a far less specialist crowd than we've got here today. I think that you guys probably know more about specialist areas within biohacking than I do, so it means I can get a bit more geeky, which is quite nice. I've kind of compiled a list of some of the things that I think might work quite well next year for your energy levels and have worked well for mine. And I just want to see, before I go through them, how many people have done each one. So who here has taken L-tyrosine before? Okay, a smattering, a third of us. What about colostrum, either milk or supplements? Okay, even less, okay. What about the keto diet? Who has done the keto diet? Good, who's doing the keto diet at the moment? Okay. Who loves the keto diet? Who here uses blue blockers on a regular basis? Okay, again, about only about a third, okay. Who's used Viome? No? Okay, I've got some good stuff to talk about that. Oura ring? Right, about a third of you. The Joovv over there? Right, make sure you ever go on that, we'll talk about that in a sec. And right, that's a good start. L-tyrosine is an amino acid. I've only been taking it for about a week and a half, and that's why I put on my badge, talk to me about L-tyrosine, because I'm desperate for more knowledge. But in the week and a half that I've been taking it, I've had incredible results with it. I did an amino acid test and my tyrosine was quite low. It is actually a bulletproof supplement, so it's one of the supplements that Bulletproof sell. And I've noticed an increase in mood, which is, to be fair, what people say about L-tyrosine. They say that it increases your dopamine levels, which is good. But I've also noticed an increase in focus. Now, I really love playing chess. I like playing in person. I also like playing online. I sat down in Planet Organic a few days ago, and I had quite a tricky move against my mate. I was looking at it for about 15 minutes and realised I needed another 15 minutes and realised I needed another 15 minutes. I spent over an hour looking at this one chess move, which is something that I just don't normally do because I've got better things to do. But I felt like the L-tyrosine, and I double dosed it that day as well, had helped with my focus. So I think that's the first thing that I just thought might be interesting for you to try. And I guess the whole point of kind of giving you these ideas is that some of you may well know more about L-tyrosine than me, in which case I'd love to hear it. And the idea is that you get some general pointers for further discussion and exploration. One of the biggest successes that I've had with kind of biohacking is sorting out my hay fever. It's been incredible. And I think it's two things that have done it. First is a lower sugar diet. And the second is colostrum. The last couple of years, I mean, it's fair to say that my hay fever levels were probably 9 out of 10 from end of April till end of June, every year for the last 25 years. And then the last couple of years, I cut my sugar levels down. So I think immediately my kind of inflammation IG levels were lower. I hope this isn't too geeky for you guys because I'm going full geek. And then I started taking colostrum as well, which is I used the Surthrival colostrum capsules. I was having 3 in the morning and 3 in the evening, which is the maximum dose. And then I just went down to 3 in the morning. What's that?
What is colostrum?
Well, it sounds a bit, actually, I'm glad you asked that question because it's mother's milk. Now, any mammal. Any mammal, yeah, and in the few days after they've given birth, I'm not suggesting you go and find a human mother. What Surthrive will do is they take cows that just given birth, they make sure the calves have the milk first, which is quite important, and then they turn the colostrum into tablets. I've had a massive effect with hay fever. Nothing else, didn't help my energy levels, but obviously if I've not got hay fever, I'm feeling so much better. I mean, just the odd itchy eye for a couple of months. So that makes me think, what other allergies or kind of low-level health problems might it help people with? So, colostrum, you might want to have a look at that one. What was the next on my list? The keto diet. So who here's on a keto diet at the moment? Nick, you've been on it since we were in LA in October. And how much have you lost?
2 stone, just coming off.
2 stone. You're an absolute hunk of a man. Are you feeling good on it, not just in terms of losing weight, but also?
The key things for me are energy. I mean, I have a lot of energy as it is anyway. So
yeah.
I joke that my energy levels are like a 9 out of 10 when I go up in the morning. 15 or 16 right now. It's probably the coffee and Sarah's products as well, but
yeah,
it's a different story. I think the key thing for me is not being hungry all the time and very like. I think you notice how reliant you are on carbohydrates and sugar when you're a sugar burner, for want of a better expression. And being keto just means if I don't want to have breakfast and I want to miss lunch as well, it's all good. You know, it gives you that greater flexibility. for being able to metabolize things in a better way. And weight loss is just insane if you do it properly, and it can be quite fun too. And also brain switches this bad boy on.
How long was the flu?
I was fine, but I'm a man, so I can just handle it. But
well, I'm obviously not, because I had a really bad dip for a couple of months.
I didn't really have a problem. I think Sarah's products definitely help bridge the gap.
Yeah,
between
I agree.
Between not having it.
So for people who don't know, that's all exogenous ketone products. And because I was trying to do it without that for the first month or so. Makes a profound difference. Yeah. The electrolytes balance.
Yeah. A big difference. So Tim's helped me a lot with the information around that, because that's a big transitional part as well. But having Sarah's products, Keto Blitz especially, the one you bought here today, is amazing. It's just so I would wake up in the morning and I'd have that as breakfast, and because you're using your fat as fuel, 2 stone of it to use, then it's easy. It's good.
So Sarah and I are recording something a little bit later on for my podcast on Monday, aren't we? And you and your husband, I would love everyone to meet Sarah today, because you set up keto supplements because of your husband's migraines? Epilepsy, right, okay. Where is your husband, by the way? Hello. Hi, nice to meet you. I want to talk to you, and I want Matt to talk to you as well. I'll introduce you guys later anyway. Good. So I mean, there's real kind of clinical applications as well as losing weight and feeling awesome. And for me, it was about a month and a half, 2 months of a real dip in energy levels. And I've actually, because I track my energy every day, I've got an interesting graph if anyone wants to see it, which shows my energy levels kind of like that, January till June, then like that, June and July. I was like having naps every day. I got the keto smell as well. For any of you who haven't already tried keto, there's a...
the breath, you mean?
No, it's not the breath. It's the skin smells. Ask my girlfriend Faith. It's a real treat for her for a couple of months. We had a scale, didn't we, between 1 and 10. How bad is the smell today? And I can sometimes smell it on other people as well, and it's not a very nice smell. So, but I'm interested to chat to more people about keto anyway. And I think for energy levels, I think it is a big thing. I do. I'm not convinced it's for everyone though. You have to be kind of a bit anal with food, and actually I don't really like being like that. You have to be really hot on what you eat and what you don't, especially at the start when you're getting into it. And I think one of the negatives of like all the lovely personalities that we've got around us is that biohacking is quite kind of extreme sometimes, and it tends to attract people who are already quite extreme. And I think if anything, I could do with being less extreme, not more extreme. So I'd say that's something to watch. Okay. Also, apparently, it's easier for men than women to get into it, and hormonally it can be harder for women, but that's not something I'm an expert on. But it seems to suit me for the moment. I'd also probably describe myself as keto-ish rather than keto. Blue blockers. Who uses blue blockers on a regular basis? This is making a real difference to me.
You brought some with me.
I wanted to start a blue blockers company about 9 months ago, and basically found all these glasses you could buy from China. I think it was about like £1.50 each. And then realised the quality was just so bad, couldn't possibly flog them to people. But those True Dark ones, I think they do have quite an impact. The idea being that in the evening, if you're looking at bright lights, your brain thinks it's the middle of the day. So before 200 years ago, at night, our caveman brains would think, it's dark, the only light is the fire, therefore I'm ready for sleep. And now, if you switch on a light in the middle of the night, even if it's for a moment, you go to the loo and switch the light on, your melatonin production just completely cuts off. Well, my job is like a late job. I often work till midnight at Sky, and it's like the middle of the day in the studio. And sure enough, my melatonin levels are quite low. So I've noticed a real difference to that. And one of the things that really proved it was I took them into work recently. I was doing the sports news on Sky News. So it's kind of every hour I was doing a little bulletin and then having an hour off. And I put the glasses on. I told you this, didn't I? And I had like 50 minutes with the glasses on in the office, and then I took them off and then went back on set. And I literally did the worst 3 minutes of telly in my life. It was just like gobbledygook coming out of my mouth, and I felt so tired. So I thought, they're really working. And they're the ones that you can wear out and about and are vaguely socially acceptable. The super dark red ones look a bit more like goggles, so you can check that out as well.
I think for me, that's the biggest, the most impactful hack
out
of everything that I've tried. And I mean that Seriously,
that's awesome.
I am religious with wearing them. I have them in my bag, and he knows. I wear them all around there. I wear them literally. I don't care what people think of me. I really don't, because I understand the value of my sleep. I understand how much of a huge impact it has on every area of my life.
Let's move on to the Oura ring then. Can I borrow it for a sec? Who here doesn't even know what an Oura ring is? Good. Okay. It's a type of tracking device that most tracking devices at the moment are wristbands or watches. And this is a ring, and the reason I was attracted to it is it's the only tracking device that you can switch Bluetooth off on the device itself. So essentially you're not wearing something with a tiny bit of radiation on your wrist or your finger. And the details of what it gives you are very advanced in terms of it measures your pulse and your sleep rate and various other things. I think it measures your body temperature too. Problem is, style-wise, just not convinced. Now, it's a chunky unit, that, isn't it?
There's actually a new Oura ring.
Yeah, that's what I was coming to. Yeah. So I know that I'm speaking to a specialist crowd. Thankfully, they've just managed to redesign it, and it's going to be like that, isn't it? So like the back of the ring, and that's coming out in April. But yeah, so I think that is much better, and in black or in silver. And I know from the people who've used it. Who hasn't spoken yet? Who's been using the Oura ring? Who's been using the Oura ring?
Yep.
Yeah. How have you found it?
I've had it about 18 months. I love it. Extremely accurate for sleep. It tracks activity, but not in terms of how fast you've run or how far, but purely so it can offset it against the sleep data, so it can give you a recovery score, real value in it. You know, is today a good day to push? Is today a good day to hold back? How recovered am I? Because the body sends us signals, doesn't it, all the time? But some of them are hard for us to discern, like HRV. There's no way of kind of taking that. And others we've just got really good at ignoring. So things like body temperature, heart rate variability, heart rate are three really important indicators of how recovered you are, whether you're getting sick, whether you need to take it easy. You might be feeling good because you're pumped full of adrenaline, but actually your body's deeply lacking in rest.
So how do they come up with that recovery rate? Because that sounds like a bit of a gimmick to me. But
no, not at all.
No.
It's not gimmicky. So they look at all your sleep and they look at your activity data over the period of, let's say, the last 4 or 5 days. They correlate the two. So I can see that you've been extremely active, but you haven't had very good sleep. Therefore, you're not that well recovered. So they give you a low readiness score, and it'll give you a little message saying, time to put the brakes on. Here's one of them. Today's a good day to, I don't know, some sort of analogy to rocket or something. They just give you a bit of an indication. You look at the exact data points, and you can see elevated heart rate over the last few days, decreasing heart rate variability, body temperature's gone up. It's so accurate with body temp that women can use it to plan fertility.
Wow.
Peak times in the month. That
it syncs with the Clue app as well, doesn't it? That's absolutely brilliant.
It's a cracking bit of kit.
I think you've got at least 5 new clients after just having talked about it.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Good. So that's potentially further discussion for you guys afterwards. The Viome, I wanted to touch on it briefly because you and I were talking about it. This is something that Dave Asprey was going mad about at the Bulletproof Conference. It's a new way of testing your stool and glucose levels and getting all the information about what's going on in your gut. And well, it was sold as something that's kind of a revolutionary way of analysing what's going on in your body. And I have to say, this is something that I wanted to talk to you about because I probably wouldn't recommend it at the moment. In terms of a user experience, it's great. It's kind of like, it looks lovely. The kit all comes. It's the easiest test I've ever done in terms of doing a stool test, which can be pretty fiddly, but that was fine. Won't go into any more details than that. But I'm a little bit disappointed by the results. Again, if anyone wants to come and have a look at it, it felt like I was paying 350 quid to kind of get a few results on my phone and not speak to a practitioner about it, which I think would be the kind of the magic bit of getting testing like that done. It does go through every single food and give you a kind of traffic light system score on whether you should be eating it a lot, a little bit, or not at all. Again, I didn't really find that helpful.
Did you get any big surprises with what you shouldn't be eating?
No, not really. It all seemed fairly basic. I mean, because it's not personalised, it said the ideal macro ratio for you is 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. 40% carbs, yeah. So I'm not quite sure. No, it's not keto, and it's not. I don't think it's what suits me. But you see, because it wasn't personalised to me, because I'm not working with a practitioner, they don't know that. So I'd be happy to show anyone who wants to see the app and the kind of recommendations that they came up with. The idea is that they're kind of they're not only putting all the latest scientific research into analysing what's going on, but they're also comparing everyone against everyone else. So the more people that use it, after a while they'll be like, hang on, people who have that illness have that going on in their gut. Therefore, we can make that correlation, we can give some specialist recommendation. So it could be good in the future, but not sure I'd recommend it now. Right, rattle through the last couple. That is the Joovv, which is a mix of infrared light and near infrared light. And there'll be people who'll be able to explain it to you a lot better than I can, but essentially it fires up mitochondria in your cells when you sit in front of it. It's a little bit like sunbathing, which I really like, and it's supposed to be particularly good for your skin. So I'll just leave it at that for the moment, but have a try, sit in front of it for 5 minutes.
You just need 5 minutes?
They say 5 to 10. They actually say 5.
A day.
In terms of if you want it for skin, they say 5. And if you want it for energy, I think they say 10.
Like naked or just your face and hands?
Well, very interesting point. There's more than one man in here who sits in front of it very naked and makes sure that the testosterone effects are fully fired up. So there are a few people in here with the Joovv light, and particularly I know Ben Greenfield talks about sitting in front of it naked. You love it, don't you?
It's incredible for the skin, just purely on that level, but also it's just so relaxing.
Why is it good for the skin? Because I don't quite feel why it's so good.
It's great if you have a little breakout or whatever, it just sorts it out immediately. You just feel, I don't know, just you glow afterwards.
Did you use that at night?
You can. I emailed them about it, and I have actually used it in the evening, and I felt like I slept better afterwards. But I'm actually using it in the morning, and I feel it's nice for energy. It's particularly nice in the morning because you can see how bright it is. Yeah. And actually, it's quite a bright day, but a lot of days at the moment are so cloudy and grey and gloomy and dank. You switch that on, and just the whole place lights up, and it does make you feel a little bit more awake, I think. Yes.
What's the biggest takeaway you've had from it? Because you've used it for a couple of months now, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, just a general sense of well-being from sitting in front of it. I can't say it's a specific difference. It's not like spending an hour on a chess move, but it's a mild, nice feeling of like increased energy. I know that there's been a significant increase in my energy levels in the last month, but I'm not quite sure if it's that or the cyto detox that I've been taking or the extra keto stuff that's been going on, so not quite sure, but you love it for the skin, don't you? So yeah. And the one other thing to say about that is there's actually the guy from Joovv told me, but having had a look online, this seems to be true. There's a lot more scientific research about infrared and near infrared light than there are about a lot of these hacks that people talk about, and it's always nice to have the science to kind of back up what one kind of suspects. And then just the last thing to say to you all before I finish is the fact that, and Leanne, you touched on this, I think that kind of almost more important than any of these hacks or supplements you might take or dietary tweaks are getting yourself into a good kind of emotional place. That's just more important. Having a look at yourself and saying, am I in the right place? Am I emotionally happy? Am I kind of on a base level good? Because all the supplements and all the tweaks and all the Joovv lights in the world won't help you out if you're not. And if you're not sure that you are emotionally happy, go to a coach like Nick or Leanne or someone else who's going to look at the kind of, or a functional medicine coach who's going to look at the kind of the whole of you and say, okay, so it's not just about the diet, because the important thing is your stress levels. If you're stressed, then you won't sleep so well, and you will be more inflamed.
I mean, if you're constantly thinking, oh, I've got to measure this, I can't eat that, I've got to do, it's me, it's actually important to get out of self and balance up, as well, conversations with other people. Just forget about what you're having today. It doesn't matter, I haven't had the coffee or I haven't sat in front of the Joovv, I'm going to be all right. Let's get out and socialise and mix with other people.
Yeah.
The key part of functional medicine is communication and connection with other people and the richness of relationships, as well as the one you have with yourself.
Yeah. What a wise group of people we have in here. Thank you so much for all your contributions, guys. Mix and drink lots of bulletproof coffee. And really great to see you all. Thank you very much.
Did you win that chess game?
You just asked, did I win the chess game? The answer is, actually it's still ongoing, but that move was awesome. There you go, that is it. I'm by a different water feature now in Pai in northern Thailand. And thank you very much for listening to that. I hope it has at least sparked further discussion and some interesting thoughts on what you could do to change stuff in 2018. I really enjoyed recording it, actually, and hopefully there'll be some more like that throughout the year. Thank you to Tim Gray, who organised the Biohacker London Social Circle meetup. Thank you to Nick Elvery and Leanne Spencer, whose podcasts I've already mentioned, and they came up with some brilliant points during that chat, and I've definitely had more to chat about with them since then. And thank you for listening, as always, and just repeating that disclaimer at the start, it's not intended as medical advice, this, and if you do especially start with any supplements or anything else, then please do get the advice of your doctor or health practitioner before you start. There you go, that's the technical stuff out of the way, that's the disclaimer done. Next week, a full podcast recorded from here in Southeast Asia, and until then, have a wonderful week, have a zesty week. See you soon. One more thing before I go on this week's podcast. I just listened back and I realised that I have not mentioned the podcasts of Nick and Leanne. I thought I mentioned them in the intro, but I would love you to check out their podcasts as well, because I've been listening to them too and really enjoying them. So Nick Elvery's podcast is the Daily Habits podcast, and Elvery is spelled Elvery, and Leanne Spencer's podcast is called Remove the Guesswork, and they're both great. So Daily Habits, Remove the Guesswork. That is it, finally, for this week's Zestology, and see you next time.